23 years is a long time to wait. It is enough time for physical pain to carve away expectations, leaving behind a quiet exhaustion. For Delia Knox, that wait began on Christmas Day in 1987. She was a vibrant singer in her community, heading home after a holiday church service. This wreckage marks the moment her world turned upside down. A drunk driver plowed into her car, delivering an impact so severe it changed her life in a matter of seconds. Delia lost all feeling from the waist down. The trauma resulted in total paralysis, stripping her of the ability to walk and ending her career. The accident broke her body, but the subsequent decades would see a different kind of immobility take hold, the paralysis of her spirit. This analysis of 1 John 4:18 defines fear as more than just a feeling. It describes fear as a limitation that imprisons us, narrowing our lives and binding us into corners where we cannot live as intended. Delia lived in that prison for 2 decades. She repeatedly attended healing services, hoping for miracles, only to leave in the same wheelchair every single time. She experienced the emotional toll of being plopped, dropped, and flipped during failed prayers. The weight of repeated disappointments became too heavy to carry. To protect herself from further heartbreak, she stopped praying for healing. She stayed away from meetings where miracles were promised, fearing the crushing letdown of empty hope. This was the true nature of her spiritual state, a soul rendered immobile by the fear of hoping for something that might never arrive. By August 2010, Delia had learned to live within her limits. She traveled to a gathering in Mobile, Alabama, with her heart guarded and her expectations low. Because she didn't know a healing service was taking place, she entered the room without her usual defensive walls. She wasn't there to be fixed, she was just there to be present. During the service, her attention shifted. She saw an ill infant in the crowd and felt a sudden, deep surge of compassion for the child suffering. Focusing on the needs of another person began to melt the frozen layers of her own self-protection. For a moment, her own 23-year injury wasn't the center of her world. When she moved from self-preservation toward externalized love, the spiritual barriers she had built over 2 decades began to dissolve. As the minister called her husband forward, Delia suddenly felt a sensation returning to her legs, a feeling she hadn't experienced since 1987. She recognized a distinct command in her heart to get up. It was a call to do the one thing that had caused her the most pain and disappointment for over 20 years. She was caught in a clash of wills. Even when God speaks, the Jacob syndrome makes us want to hide, fearing the risk of failure more than we desire the blessing. This sermon notes even the most faithful suffer from the disease of dismay. Past trauma makes us recoil from the strength we need. The antidote in Isaiah is the promise that God is holding the sufferer's hand, saying, "Fear not, I will help thee." Faith in this moment functioned as a decision. It was a choice to trust the person promising to hold her up, regardless of the physical evidence. Delia decided to risk public failure. She gripped the armrests of her wheelchair and pushed upward, moving against the weight of 23 years of history. Her atrophied muscles struggled to support her weight. She described her knees clicking and popping as they locked into place for the first time in over 2 decades. With the assistance of her husband and the minister, she took her first hesitant, stumbling steps around the room. Within a week, the pain in her legs subsided. She was soon walking around her home and her kitchen entirely on her own. Her physical recovery followed the moment her spirit finally outpaced her fear. Months later, she was filmed walking off an airplane, pushing the very wheelchair that had once been her cage. Most people live in a state of spiritual immobility. They are paralyzed by the what-ifs of their circumstances and the memory of past disappointments. To stand up against that fear, the scripture provides 5 pillars of support. First, God is with me. Second, He is my God. Third, He will strengthen me. Fourth, He will help me. And fifth, He will uphold me. God provides His own presence as the answer to our anxiety. True freedom begins when you hear the command to fear not and daringly decide to stand, because the Holy One is holding your right hand.